In the budget that we'll see very shortly, we're expecting two things. We want to see lower costs for Canadians, and we want to see big corporations start paying their fair share. We know that corporate greed is a major driver that's pushing up the cost of living. We want to see concrete actions to take on this corporate greed and make them pay their fair share. We know that Canadians are hurting right now. Canadians are feeling the squeeze of everything being more expensive. Costs of groceries are up. On top of that, you've got your cell phone and internet fees, which are amongst the highest in the world. We constantly see big corporations ripping off Canadians, so we're going to see measures in this budget that lower costs for Canadians and take on that corporate greed, make big corporations pay their fair share. We do not want to see any pressure put on working class people, no increased taxes on working class people. We want to see big corporations start paying their fair share. Donc aujourd'hui, dans le budget, ce qu'on veut voir pour demain, c'est un budget qui réduit les coûts pour les Canadiens et qui force les grandes entreprises de payer le juste part, qui arrête l'exploitation des grandes entreprises, parce que la plus grande raison pour laquelle on est dans une situation où le coût de la vie augmente, c'est causé par l'avarice ou la cupidité des grandes entreprises. Les grandes entreprises exploitent les gens. On voit ça avec les grandes entreprises d'épicerie, même chose avec les entreprises de télécommunications. On paye les plus chers, effectivement, à travers le monde pour nos services d'Internet et des cellulaires. Et avec les épiceries, ils continuent de faire des profits massifs quand les gens ne peuvent pas acheter, faire l'épicerie qu'ils ont besoin. Donc ça, c'est ce qu'on veut voir dans le budget, des mesures pour réduire les coûts pour les gens et forcer les grandes entreprises de payer le juste part.
Can you clarify, do you support a consumer carbon levy? There is some kind of muddied messaging with last week's speech. You asked about it 4 times. You talked about doubling down on the industrial carbon price, not burdening working families. Do you support a consumer carbon levy?
We absolutely need to fight the climate crisis, no question about it. But what we're concerned about is that Pierre Poilievre has absolutely no plan. He thinks it's okay to dump toxic waste into rivers. He wants big polluters to do whatever they want. He wants no rules for big polluters. That is a serious problem. I've heard that from Canadians. I've also heard a serious concern that this Liberal government seems to have no money for working class people to buy a heat pump, no money for them, but has billions of dollars in subsidies for oil and gas companies. The Liberal plan is unfair. That is my concern, and I continue to raise the concern that people have telling me that they're concerned about. Why is the Liberal plan unfair? And why the Conservatives, are they so irresponsible to not even have a plan to tackle pollution?
Can I just come back to the budget for a second?
Sure.
We're likely to see a tax on wealthy people, les fortunés, as they say en français, right? How wealthy do you have to be to qualify for a wealth tax? If you make $100,000 a year, if you make $250,000, do you have a number that you'd like to see the threshold applied to a wealth tax?
Well, what we've been calling for a long time is particularly focused on large corporations. I pointed out in a number of question periods over the past couple of weeks the corporate handouts of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. When they were in power, they gave effectively $60 billion in corporate handouts to the largest corporations, and the Liberals kept those corporate handouts in place, and people are paying the price. Companies like Loblaws have pocketed $1.2 billion as a result of that corporate handout. So what we want to see is big corporations paying their fair share. And that's what we've been focused on. Let's take on the corporate greed, which is driving up the cost of living. That's what we've called out. That's what we're fighting on.
What about the wealthy? I was asking about people, the wealthy.
We absolutely believe that the wealthy should pay their fair share. But what we've been focused on when we look at the cost of living crisis we're in, it's large corporations that are exploiting Canadians. That's been our focus. We always believe that the richest, the super wealthy should always contribute their fair share. That's something the New Democrats have long campaigned on, long fought for. We believe in that. And right now our focus is specifically on big corporations that are ripping off Canadians. Big corporate grocery stores, oil and gas companies, the big telcos are all ripping Canadians off, and Conservatives and Liberals have let them do that for far too long.
J'essaie de mieux comprendre ce que vous avez répondu à ma collègue. Vous dites, d'un côté, on appuie la tarification sur le carbone au nouveau nom, puis en même temps, là, vous venez de dire, le plan, il est inéquitable. Est-ce que vous l'appuyez ou pas, le plan?
Donc, l'approche du gouvernement libéral est injuste. Ils ont dit qu'on n'a pas d'argent pour les classes moyennes, pour les travailleurs d'acheter des thermopompes. On n'a pas d'argent pour vous, mais on a des milliards de dollars pour les grandes entreprises. Ça, c'est injuste. Et les gens ont dit que c'est une approche injuste. Ils ont aussi dit que le fait que les conservateurs n'ont pas un plan pour faire face à la crise climatique, qu'on a vécu la crise climatique à ce moment. Ça, c'est aussi irresponsable. On dit qu'on doit avoir un plan qui force les grandes entreprises d'arrêter la pollution, un plan qui est juste pour les travailleurs et un plan qui réduit nos émissions. Effectivement, finalement, ça, c'est le but ultime.
But you're still not answering the question.
Organization, on naming the IRGC a terrorist organization, how will your party vote on this motion by the Conservatives?
We believe that the IRGC is a terrorist organization and should be thus named.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Pour
Singh,
taxer
you're
les
not,
riches,
you're not,
pour taxer les riches.
You're not
et pour
answering the
taxer,
question.
and I'm interested to hear as well what you have to say on this. Mais pour taxer les plus riches, pour taxer les entreprises, si on les taxe trop, ils vont aller ailleurs.
Donc, on a vu que les conservateurs ont donné un grand cadeau aux grandes entreprises. On peut arrêter ces grands cadeaux et c'est juste d'avoir une taxation qui est juste. On dit qu'on doit, particulièrement les entreprises qui font des profits records au Canada, ils ne vont pas quitter le pays quand ils font des profits massifs. Ils doivent payer le juste part. C'est quelque chose qui est important. On appuie ça. On dit qu'on doit faire face à ces entreprises qui exploitent les gens et on appuie cette position profondément. C'est important de faire ça.
Et sur la taxe carbone, OK, vous dites quoi? Est-ce que vous dites qu'il faut éliminer la taxe que paient les citoyens et faire juste payer les entreprises ou il faut trouver un juste part entre les deux? Parce que c'est pas clair ce que vous dites.
Donc, on n'a pas changé notre position sur la casse.
On continue de taxer les citoyens.
On n'a pas changé notre position, pas du tout. Ce qu'on a dit, c'est le fait que les libéraux, comment ils présentent leur plan aux gens, c'est injuste. Le fait qu'ils ont des milliards de dollars pour des subventions pour les entreprises pétrolières, mais pas d'argent pour les gens qui veulent avoir des thermopompes, ça c'est injuste. Et les gens ont dit que ça c'est injuste. Mais ça c'est particulièrement ma réponse quand on parle des plans des libéraux. C'est un plan injuste. Et c'est une partie de leur plan. Le fait que les libéraux donnent des milliards de dollars, c'est important de reconnaître c'est quoi l'impact de ça. Ils donnent effectivement, un rapport a dit, 18 milliards de dollars dans les subventions aux entreprises pétrolières. Mais il dit aux travailleurs, pas d'argent pour vous pour acheter les thermopompes. Ça, c'est injuste. I'll take it again in English.
In English,
Yeah,
can you yes or no? Do you support a consumer carbon levy? Yes or no?
Our position has not changed at all. But our position has not
What is
changed.
your position?
Our position is, I mean, you've seen our votes. Our position has not changed.
Right now, what is your
We
position?
absolutely support a price on pollution. We've always supported it.
For consumers.
We've always supported a
I'm
price on
just looking
pollution.
to clarify, sir. Do you support a
I've said
consumer
that.
carbon price?
I've said it again and again, and you've seen our votes on this. We absolutely support a price on pollution. We have not changed our position on that. We have not changed our position on that.
But you won't actually confirm what it is.
We have not changed our position. I mean, you could look at our voting record. We've been very clear. We support a price on pollution. But our concern,
For consumers?
we have absolutely been very clear. Our position has not changed. And so you can look at our voting record, and our position is very clear. But my concern is this, and I want to be very clear on this concern. I want to spend the time that I have talking about my concern. The Liberals say to working class people, we don't have money for you to buy heat pumps. We don't have money to support you, but we've got billions of dollars for oil and gas companies. Workers tell me that is unfair, and that's what we pointed out. So we said that very clearly. And we've said again and again, we need to make sure we fight the climate crisis with everything we have. But the Liberals are eroding that trust by not supporting working class people. They are eroding that trust by not saying clearly that whose side are we on? The Liberals right now are making it seem like they're on the side of big polluters and they're not on the side of working class people. How can this government justify billions of dollars in subsidies for oil and gas companies and say no to working class people? That is wrong, and I want to focus on that. Our position on fighting the climate crisis has not changed. We believe absolutely on a price on pollution, but we also believe the plan has to be fair. And right now, the Liberals are not making a fair plan. They're saying big polluters get bigger and bigger profits, working class people get nothing. That is wrong.
Respect, Mr. Singh, you said this last week.
How would you make the carbon pricing scheme more fair?
Well, in terms of what I want to see happen, in terms of a plan in general, these are the three values that way. Well, this is
What would you do
this
to
is
make
our
it
plan.
more
If you
fair?
want to ask my plan, these are my concerns. One is I'm concerned specifically with the fact that the government has billions of dollars for oil and gas companies and says no to working class people. That's important. But specifically, I'm going to answer the question very specifically. I've been asked a question. This is my final answer. On the final piece on what our plan is, we want to see a plan that makes the big polluters pay their fair share, that's fair to workers, and that reduces our emissions. Thank you very much. Merci.
Will you put it on gas